This message is brought to you by donotage.org, the longevity research organisation that's on a mission to extend health span for as many people as possible via products that actually work. Start your journey today at donotage.org and use code LLAMA for a 10% discount. That's LLAMA.
Sure enough, I was at a body fat percentage that I hadn't been at, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I need to do something. I don't want to become a statistic of, oh, now you're in your 40s. Now you just give up and you let yourself go.
Hello and welcome to the Live Long and Master Aging podcast. I'm Peter Bowes. This is where we explore the science and stories behind human longevity. This episode is the first of three talking to older athletes. And I'll qualify what I mean by older in a second. Specifically, I'm going to talk to three people aged between 40 and 80 who are all regular, extreme endurance athletes. They're all Spartan athletes. And if you remember our episode with Joe DeSena a few months ago, Joe is the founder of the Spartan race. It was episode 68 if you want to take a listen. You'll know that the Spartan way is designed to be a sport for everyone. In fact, I remember mentioning to Joe that there were a number of senior citizen athletes at my gym who regularly take part in Spartan races. Well, today I'm at the gym, Results Fitness in Newhall in California, to meet Rachel Cosgrove. Rachel is the gym's co-owner and an accomplished athlete. She is ranked at number 14 in the world after taking part in the recent Spartan World Championships. Rachel, welcome to the Live Long and Master Aging podcast.
Thank you for having me.
And congratulations, that's quite an achievement.
Thank you. It was quite an experience.
You've told me a little bit about it. It was very recently. It was tough. Sounded tough.
It was a very hard race. I've done, I did an Ironman at one point, and I would say this was actually one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Really?
Yeah.
Harder than an Ironman?
Yeah, mentally, challenging. Because I think the thing with Spartan is you don't always know what's going to be your hard thing, or what's going to challenge you. I think it always surprises you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that can be mentally a roller coaster during the race. So I definitely had lows during the race and then highs during the race, and overall had a great experience and felt great. And it was definitely a very challenging experience.
And unpredictable, because a lot of Spartan races, you don't quite know what you're walking into because all the courses are a little bit different. Yeah.
I mean, that's like the part I love about the Spartan races is that you do have you have an idea of the obstacles. They give you the map ahead of time, and I'm a planner, so I always try to take a look at the map and think through what my strategy is going to be, and really plan out my idea of what it's going to look and feel like. But then as you head off into the race, things that you thought were going to be easy end up being hard, and a lot of it's with the way they line up the obstacles. Maybe they put you into we had a freezing cold swim at the top of the mountain and 9,000 feet of elevation. And then, so some of the obstacles that I didn't think were going to be a problem ended up being some of my harder obstacles. And so, yeah, it's always an interesting mental journey of, okay, let me get through this. And, but then I also got some of the obstacles that I had never gotten in a race before. So those were some of my high points and moments. So that's the fun part about Spartan is there is always that unpredictable aspect of it.
How far was the freezing cold swim?
I think it was about 400 meters. They were saying, it was okay. It was cold. I mean, got out and couldn't feel anything, so just kept moving. It was like one of those, okay, I'll just keep moving, and eventually I'll feel my fingers and my toes.
Which actually some people say is quite good for us, that sort of cryotherapy.
That's what, the whole way
maybe not while you're performing and racing.
But the whole, that's how I framed it in my mind as I was climbing, because it was a really tough climb up to the swim. That was the first 3 miles were just a straight up climb from, we were at about 6,000 feet where we started up to 9,000 feet. And so as I was climbing up, I just kept telling myself at the top of the mountain, you get to have a nice cryotherapy session and dunk your legs into the nice cold water. And so, you just got to, it's all about positive thinking, right? It's all about framing it the right way.
I want to digress slightly, and I tend to do that quite a lot because I want to talk more about you, your background, your education, how you come and own the gym and a bit more about performing in Spartan races. But you mentioned cryotherapy, and I know that you do that as a form of treatment, don't you?
Yes. Yeah. I go to a cryotherapy place nearby, and the owner of that place and us definitely work closely together. Both Alan, my husband, and I have been going quite regularly, and have definitely seen a difference in recovery and just overall feeling good from it. So, and hopefully maybe it helps me out when I have to swim in freezing cold water.
Yeah, it's something I want to do as well. I haven't actually done it. I've seen others doing it.
You got to try it out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's there's a lot in it. There isn't a huge amount of, as I understand it, a huge amount of science in it in terms of data.
I think there's definitely like the science, like using ice baths and the recovery. And so to me, it's basically you're doing an ice bath, but a much easier way of doing it. It's only 3 minutes, and you don't have to get wet and get into a tub of ice, which has for a long time been a recovery method for a lot of athletes to do an ice bath. So it's an easier way to do that.
You mentioned your husband. That's Alan Cosgrove, who, of
Yes.
course, has been a guest on this podcast. And that was episode right at the beginning of this year. I think it was the first episode in January, episode 45. We talked about commitments to New Year's resolutions and that kind of thing. And it's a really interesting chat. It's episode 45 if you want to take a listen. And you co-own the gym, this gym, Results Fitness.
Yep, we opened it 19 years ago. Yeah.
And going strong.
And going strong.
In fact, you use that phrase, don't you?
We do. Yeah, it's amazing that it's been 19 years. So, yeah. And you've been a part of it for
I've been
a lot
part
of that.
It for about, I believe it's about 14 of those
Yeah, I
years.
think it's
a long time.
A long time.
Yeah, we've known each other for a long time. You've trained me to do not Spartan races, but other endurance feats. I think probably my first triathlon.
Triathlon,
I think.
yeah.
Absolutely. Out in the desert.
Yep.
Which was fun. So how did you, and I want to talk about age in a second, but how did you get into this business? Did you trained in terms of athletics and physical education?
No, actually growing up, I came from a family that struggled with obesity, struggled with their weight, and really, exercise and nutrition were not a part of my childhood. It was, food was happiness. That was, there was lots of abundance of it. And, so I, like early in my, childhood, I started to as I became a teenager, and I actually got, started to want to become active, started to get, active. And my dad actually went to the gym. So I started going to the gym with him. And then got into dance and started to figure out my own journey. So how could I look and feel the way that I wanted to look and feel? And also for my family. So I wanted to help them to look and feel better. And so really started to, go on my own experiments with different diets and different, exercise protocols. Of course, I started off lifting very light weights for lots of repetitions, and I was an aerobics instructor for a long period of time. And, I've gone down many different paths with different diets and things, and, really trying to figure out what works. I ended up going to school and getting my degree in exercise physiology. And, really the human body to me has always been fascinating. Like I've always loved, going through a training program and just putting demands on my body to see, what am I capable of? What, to see it adapt and see it make those changes. And so, it's really always been a passion of mine. And so then, getting my degree, and then I got a couple certifications and started working as a personal trainer. And I originally was in New York City. I got my degree in Santa Barbara at UCSB, and then I moved to New York City after college because I was single and wanted to live in New York. And that's where I met Alan. And so the two of us were working as personal trainers in New York City. And, I really started to, you think you know everything when you graduate from college. You're like, okay, I got my degree, I'm good. And then you meet someone like Alan who is, constantly learning and studying. And so he really became a mentor to me to start to, then really take my knowledge of how to, coach, how to get the most out of what we were doing with our clients and with ourselves, and, really what the human body could do. And so from there, we learned from everybody we could learn from, read every book we could read, and really sought out to become, experts in the industry. We decided to move back to California and open our gym. And since then, we've been learning more and more about business. So shifting our studies, but that's how I got into it. Yeah. So it was really, starting off as a journey for myself, and really having that passion and as I started to coach people, I realized this is what I was meant to do. I love to work, with people. I love to see them reach their potential. I love to find, figure out what works and really help them to do things they never thought they would be able to do.
And one of the things that you're both very keen on is following the science. And I've seen just in the gym how things have changed over the years. There might have been equipment in there at the beginning that you simply don't use anymore because you follow the science and realize that there are different and better ways to do things. And we'll continue this conversation in just a moment.
Hey, quick question for you. Are you someone who wants to be fit, healthy, and happy? And what if I told you you could get your dream body by simply just listening to a podcast? I'm Josh.
And I'm KG, and we're the hosts of the Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast.
Listen, we get it. Fitness isn't easy. Carbs, no carbs.
Just stop, okay? It doesn't have to be that complicated. And that's why we made this podcast. We get straight to the facts so you can become your best you.
So the way to check us out is click the link in the show notes or search Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast on any of the major podcast platforms. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, absolutely. We're always looking at the research. We're always looking at, is there a better way? We really want to be able to offer our members the fastest results in the least amount of time and really help them to, most of our clients are time crunched. That's one of the number one objections is I don't have enough time, so I can't exercise. And so we really do treat that like when they come in, because most of them are in for maybe 2 hours a week. And that hour that they're with us, how can we make sure that this hour they're going to do the most effective workout to get, done what they need to get done so that they can do what they want to do with the rest of their life. And so that's something we pride ourselves on is the results that we get in, really only 2 hours a week or 3 hours a week. Like our clients aren't coming in, 7 days a week, twice a day or anything like that. And then, how can we make sure we're going to give them those results?
And I can hear people wondering, is 2 hours a week of working out enough? So that's presumably 2 1-hour sessions.
Right.
Can you achieve things with what seems like relatively little time in the gym?
Absolutely. Of course, more would be better, but I think, definitely 2 hours is much better than nothing. Yeah. So, and that's what people ask me that. And I'm like, well, what are you doing now? Nothing? Okay. Yes. Then let's get you in for 2 hours a week and let's start there. And for sure, you can start building muscle. You can start to, improve your fitness. You can definitely start to see results. So, there's obviously the aspect of nutrition when they're not at the gym as well. And working on that too. But for sure, 2 hours a week is where you can definitely start to see the results.
So I started by saying I wanted to focus on older athletes. And
that word older.
Yes. I mean, you winced a little bit. And I hesitate to use that phrase. But then you're 40...
I'm 43, I know.
43 years
yes.
old. I mean, you're not old, and you're way younger than me. But it is that age, and this is why I'm particularly keen to talk to you, and we're talking to a couple of the guys as well who do Spartan races in the next couple of episodes, one in his 60s and
Royce in his 70s.
78, I think.
Yeah, we all want to be Royce when we grow up.
Yeah, we'll talk to him in a couple of weeks' time. But I think 40 is that age when some people will begin to say, oh no, I'm too old. And if they haven't exercised up until that point in their lives, that's the excuse not to start. What would you say to them?
Absolutely. I mean, so I even had, I don't know if you had seen a post I'd put up, but I had even had a moment of, I was going to do my annual physicals with the doctor and my weight had started to creep up, and I'm not one to really get on the scale much because I'm all about strength training and, but I hadn't really been paying attention. And, my weight had started to creep up, and I only noticed because I was going to get my physicals, and they keep track of it, and you see the little graph, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what's happening, right? I'm becoming a statistic of, turning 40 and having, you're starting to gain that couple of pounds every year to, where am I headed?
And this is after having performed Ironman.
Oh yeah,
and
I know what
multiple
I know.
Other
Yeah,
competitions.
It's not a matter of not knowing what to do, right? So, so then I thought, well, I'll go and check the InBody, which is we have an InBody machine to find out, what is the weight, right? I'm sure it's pure muscle. I'm sure I'm just, that's what it is. And so went to go check my InBody, and sure enough, I was at a body fat percentage that I hadn't been at, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I need to do something. I don't want to become a statistic of, oh, now you're in your 40s. Now you just give up and you let yourself go. And it's because I think, as we get into our 40s, I do have a more sedentary lifestyle. I don't coach on the floor as much. I'm on the phone. I'm sitting doing interviews. My lifestyle day to day is not, as active as it was in my 20s and 30s. And so
that reminds me just quickly of what Joe DeSena actually said. We had a similar conversation. He struggles against the fact that now he escaped from his life in business.
Yeah.
He escaped from the computer. Now he's running the Spartan race. and he's back on the computer.
Right.
And it's kind of this
I heard him say
revolving
that.
door. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's like the necessary evil of, and and I think that's common for a lot of people who are in their 40s, and you're usually at that point you're settled in your career, and so you might be at a desk, or you might be where you aren't as active as you once were. And so starting to realize that and realize, okay, I have to be intentional about this. And of course, I was still doing my workouts. Like I was still, going to the gym, working out. I had, definitely some of my, nutritional things had, like, a little more social, going to a lot more networking stuff, a little more wine, right? So it happens to all of us. And so, but you don't, I wasn't really realizing it was adding up, and you don't get away with as much when you're in your 40s. So, definitely my lifestyle, I had to kind of take a look and go, okay, hang on. I know what I'm doing here. So I had to, even for myself, really take a look and start to, I do best when I have a goal. And that's part of where the whole Spartan thing came about, is I was like, I need to get myself focused on a goal, because that's when, I'm most, like, if I have something I'm training for, I do much better. Like mentally, my workouts, I take them up a notch. I'm working a little harder. I'm going to skip the glass of wine. I'm going to, so I'm a little more intentional. So that's where I started to come up with my idea of, I think I want to start to compete in Spartan and start to, really make this one of my goals, so that I had a focus for my training. And it really gave me the focus, the goal to start to get myself on the path to, now be where I like to be, which is, my body fat is back where I like it to be. I feel good. I'm back where I'm usually, am at, or even better. I really honestly feel like now, at 43, I feel better than I did even in my 20s and 30s. And so that's a really, cool thing, even in a short period of time, to go from, oh my gosh, I'm going to be a statistic, to now going, okay, now we're talking.
Well, and I think what might surprise a lot of people, especially people that know you, that you found yourself in that position, that Rachel Cosgrove, the owner of the gym,
right,
super athlete,
yeah,
most of your life, would find yourself, as you put it, a statistic, that
right,
you reach 40 and you go, I'm not quite what I thought I was.
Yeah.
And have to do something about it.
It's so easy. It's like little, like you slip, right? It's like it's the compound effect. And you don't even realize it's happening.
I think we all do it.
Yeah. We're all human, and I'm human. And it's not, I'm not a superhero as much as I pretend I am sometimes. But yeah, and that's, my whole life, I've always had to make a decision. It's never been something that came easy for me. Like I said, I come from a family who, weight is not, my body wants to gain weight. Like that's not something that's, I am that body type. And so I have to be very intentional about it. And so when I do start to not focus on it and just, I'm just going to, eat what I want when I want, and, and work out, it can easily start to slip. So I think some of us, like, you don't realize it's like, you think you're eating healthy still, and you think you're working out still, but because little things have started to add up, and especially in your 40s, and you don't get away with them as much.
I think you also get to the point that when you are in good condition, in peak condition, you tend to take your eye off the ball and think you can have that extra glass of wine or
right,
piece of birthday cake or whatever it is. And you think, oh, well, okay, I'm generally in really great shape, so I can do that. But then they add up over time, and you suddenly find yourself overindulging.
Absolutely. I mean, that's kind of, I was like, I'm just going to live in moderation, and, but moderation is, quickly becomes little slippage of, too much.
So you say, and I agree with you, that we are all human. I've certainly gone through a lot of what you've just described. But I wonder then, is it possible to give someone some advice, someone in their 30s, to avoid falling into that situation that you found yourself in, that I have, and that many other people have as well? Is it possible with the right training, the right, social circle, maybe the right advice to avoid that hiccup at 40?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's... I think we're all aware of it, which is funny because it's, like but, and I also know that we have so many clients in their 50s, 60s who are reaching their peak health and fitness. I'm so inspired by our clients who I'm like, I know I can, like, that's my goal, is to be at my peak. I want to be like at my peak health and fitness when I'm 50. And, that's because I see that it's possible to keep getting better and better. So I think we all are aware, but, I think it definitely, is a matter of getting the habits in place early, staying focused on those habits and just making them a priority. And And figuring out what kind of workout type person you are, like, do you need to have a goal? Does having a race on the horizon help you out? Is that something that motivates you? Or are you more of, do you need to be a part of a group, where you have support buddies and maybe you take a class or something where, you're going to have people checking in on you? Like what kind of, environment is best for you to make sure that you are going to stay consistent? I mean, it's all about consistency with your workouts and consistency with your nutrition and, really making sure that you're, as you head into your 40s, that you have those habits in place and, are where you want to be.
You say there are people at the gym in the 40s, 50s, maybe 60s, reaching their peak state of fitness, their optimum fitness. Do you think there is an age, and obviously we're all different, but is there an age, do you think, that is the optimum age for achieving as much as you can with your body and maybe physical activity?
Question. I don't know. I think...
I think generally we would, especially with professional athletes, you would think, well, that age is bound to be in your 20s,
long gone,
early 30s. Once you're 35, well, yeah, as you say, long gone. And certainly, I think professional football players, soccer players, tennis players. I mean, yes, I think it is a fact that you're probably peaking in your 30s.
Right. Yeah, athletically. But I think things like, what I've seen from our clients, like a lot of them, their kids are grown up. Like they can actually turn to being a little more selfish, if that makes sense, right? They can put themselves as a priority again, and as they start to learn the right way to exercise, adding strength training, adding muscle, that keeps you young, so that's what's going to keep you strong and fit and, really lead to the longevity that we're looking for. And so I think, what I see with a lot of our clients is that they are able to shift, in their 50s and, 60s to, hey, it's back to being about me. And really putting themselves as a priority. I think they also, like you were talking about, how do you stay, how do we tell the 30-year-old? I mean, it's got to be that strong reason why, right? And I think as we all start to be in our 40s and our 50s, we're looking ahead thinking, I don't ever want to be where I'm dependent. I want to be independent. Like I want to be able to do the things that I want to do. And, we've all seen our parents start to get older, our grandparents start to get older. So I think at that age, you've also started to see some of the people you're really close to age and what those effects are. And what do I have control over to make sure that I can stay strong and healthy and fit and be independent and not have to not live on my own or be able to do the things that I want to do as I age. So I think there's some more powerful reasons why that could definitely lead to people reaching their peak at that time. And of course, if they were a professional athlete in their 20s, then they're probably not going to, be better, but they are going to be better in different ways.
Yeah, I think you've actually just hit the nail on the head that people reach a certain age, and I find this with interviews with people from different fields of expertise, that you get to a certain age and you begin to think about your own longevity because perhaps of what's happening to other people in your family who are older than you, or your co-workers and people around you. Maybe you have children and you see them growing up as well, and you're just more conscious of age. But I think what has changed now is that you can get to that certain age, and it might be the 50-year-old, 55-year-old, they've had a family, the kids have gone off to university, and as you say, they have more time and they can focus on themselves. But I think now it is more accepted that you can grasp your own physical health and do something with it and pursue goals that maybe other generations just didn't think were possible when you get to that certain age.
Yeah, and I think there's more and more people showing us that it's possible. I mean, when we see people like Royce, who you're going to interview, who are in his 70s, and there's nothing stopping that guy, So it's really inspiring to think what is possible, where, being in my 40s, I have all kinds of time to, keep being active and do the things I want to do. And, that it's not a downhill, we're not heading, downhill as we age. It's really about, how can you get healthier and fitter and accomplish new goals. And I think it's just a matter of whether you give in to, being older and just, sure, we all have aches and pains and, things, may get harder. But if you give in, and I think it's mindset so much, because as you give into that, oh, I'm tired, I'm achy, then you are tired and you are achy because you think you're tired and you're achy, and it's this cycle that you get yourself into. Or, you get yourself into, I can do anything, I just need to put my mind to it. And I think the mind becomes so powerful at that point that you have to be careful who you surround yourself with, because if you have other people that are also, feeling sorry for themselves, feeling, I'm too old, it's easy to fall into that. And so really making sure you have a circle of people who are pushing themselves, challenging themselves, who are setting the bar. I mean, when I go to these Spartan races and I'm racing alongside 40 to 49-year-olds, I'm looking around going, these women are 40 to 49. This is so awesome. Like, amazing, that like, this is what 40 to 49 looks like, and these women are just warriors. Like, they're like, in such great shape. They're conquering these obstacles. A lot of the 40 to 49-year-olds beat the 20 to 25-year-olds, which is so awesome. Yeah. Like, it's just the coolest thing to be. I mean, that's part of why I love being at those races, is just to be like at the start line with all of these women who are
there's an energy that you don't get anywhere else.
Oh yeah. And you're like, this is what this 40 to 49-year-old looks like, right? Like, this is what it looks like. Then you're maybe around some of your friends or people who don't live that lifestyle, and you're like, it's like two different worlds, right?
It is. And it's interesting. You sometimes get to that starting line, or you just get to the event and you suddenly realize, oh, yes, there are other people like me.
Yeah, I'm not the only
who get a kick
crazy,
out of doing
because everyone else thinks
thing.
you're crazy. But yeah, now I'm normal. I'm normal in this group.
and you mentioned about the people that you surround yourself with. And I hear this a lot, and there's this phrase often that you are the average of maybe the 5 people that you associate with most. And certainly in your gym, there is a sense of that, because I think people do have a similar sort of go-get alpha male or female mindset that does rub off on everyone else. And you could walk in perhaps not feeling great one day, but walk out with a completely different mood.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, that's the kind of environment we want to cultivate. And I mean, we say, it's the Bill Bowerman quote from Nike, if you have a body, you are an athlete. And so many times clients come in and maybe their initial goal is weight loss, and they start off with, I want to lose a few pounds, and then realizing their potential of, becoming an athlete, like they'll lose the weight and they'll start to feel good and they'll reach that first goal. And then it's like, maybe I could do a 5K. Maybe I could do a triathlon, and our environment definitely cultivates that, because, as people start to set those goals and start to realize it is possible, and then, we've had people accomplish some amazing things. I mean, I think you interviewed Sue Albert at one point.
Sue is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
world champion.
But I mean, it's
powerlifter.
Yeah. And I mean, when she joined our gym, the doctor told her to come in and start working out, and she did not want to be there. And so to have that,
because she was on a downward spiral,
right
at that point.
Yeah, I mean, she couldn't even get down on the floor and get back up. Like it was, she was in a scary place. And so to have her go through the journey of losing the weight, but then she did a mud run and she did a triathlon and she did then she got into powerlifting, and then to become our our world champion powerlifter was just so. Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely important to be in an environment like that. Whether it's having friends or being in a gym or, a place where it is normal, for a 70-year-old to be going to the world championships in powerlifting. I don't know how many places there are like that, but
I don't know, but it's certainly inspiring. And actually you tend to have, I don't know whether there's an average age of people that go to gyms across the board, but certainly it's older. In your gym, it isn't full of teenagers and 20-year-olds.
No.
You have, I don't know if you know the average age, but you're certainly dealing with 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds.
Yes,
on average, I would say.
Yeah, our average age, I'd say, is 47.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting, and I think that in itself is quite inspiring.
Yeah.
That you have a room full of people who have reached that certain point in their lives that feel inspired just to get out there and do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, I mean, like I said, that's the inspiring part, is seeing people who maybe they joined the gym at 47 and by 57, they're conquering goals they never thought they were going to. It's pretty cool.
And it is inspiring. And you mentioned that we're going to speak to Royce in a couple of weeks' time, that people who, and again, Sue is another example of this, who live frenetic lives. And I want to talk about time, because you referred to it before. Time in various aspects of our lives is so crucially important, but it's often used as an excuse.
Right.
Time, or the lack of time, not to be fit and not to be healthy. But then you get to a certain age and you suddenly actually do find yourself with more time.
Yeah.
So I think I've noticed you're dealing with people in your gym, those that suddenly find themselves with more time, and those that are very time crunched, and I put myself in that category, who have to make the time.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious what your best advice in terms of time management is to people. That obviously you said before 2 hours is better than nothing,
right.
But how do you make time?
I mean, exactly like you're saying, you do have to make the time. It has to be a priority. You have to be willing to something that you might currently be making a priority, might not get done because you're going to get your workout done. And, that's like, it just has to become that important that, if there's dirty dishes in the sink, then they might stay in the sink because I need to go get my workout done, so, or whatever, laundry needs to get done. Well, I'll do it another day because I need to get my workout done. So even, those things that you may or may not be using as an excuse, you may not even realize that, you're using them as an excuse when, they can wait. Whatever it is, they can wait because your workout should be your number one priority. Because if you take care of yourself, you can't afford not to make time, right? Especially as you are in your 40s and your 50s. If you aren't making time for your health and fitness, it's not going to get any easier. And, it is the time when you need to start to make that one of your number one priorities and start to look at the rest of your schedule and go, what else can give, so that I can make time for this, because that's what's going to give you, it's going to give you the energy and the health to be able to do everything else that you want to do. So, I think getting it done in the morning, that's something that I think for all of us, if you can, if your schedule allows that, I think people are more consistent if they do it in the morning because less excuses tend to come up as the day goes on. So committing to yourself that absolutely you're just going to get up in the morning and get it done. That's, I think, an easy thing to, we open at 5 a.m. and most gyms open at 5 a.m. Or even if, you put your running shoes on and get out and hit the, streets before you head to work. I think that's the easy way to just commit to yourself and make it happen and, just stop making those excuses.
I always find that, certainly in my life, when you're trying to manage that time, there are certain things that can never wait. And I would put exercising in that category because the things that can wait, all right, it might be just the dishes in the sink, it might be the laundry or whatever it is, it might be a messy kitchen, but it can wait.
It can wait, yeah.
If you delay and delay and delay exercise, things are going to get worse.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really tough or tougher when you eventually get round to it.
Yeah, absolutely. It can't wait.
Yeah, it can't wait.
It's got to be, and that's how I've thought about that because it does, and when I sign up for a race, then it absolutely, I have to make it. Then I think that's part of having that goal or having something that you are working towards, because guess what? I'm going to be at the start line with all of these other 40 to 49-year-old women who all trained and are ready, and I better be ready. And so guess what? I'm going to put off whatever else needs to be done to make sure I get my workout done because I want to be ready and feel good at that start line.
And you like to win.
And I like to win.
Yeah.
And I'm just a little bit competitive.
Yes. Well, that's good, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I like healthy competition is always a good thing.
So let's come full circle back to the Spartan race. You going to do some more?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I feel like I'm just because I just figured out some of the obstacles. I even just got some of the obstacles at World Championships for the first time. So I've been really working on all of the hanging stuff, with my grip strength. And I've always been good at the strong obstacles. It can give me heavy stuff to carry all day long because I do a lot of strength training. And that's been a main cornerstone of my, program for so long. But I hadn't really had a lot of experience with monkey bars and, all of the hanging stuff.
And so climbing up and ringing the bell at the top.
Yeah, the ropes and all of that stuff. So, the fact I just finally got the twister at World Championships and and the multi-rig.
What's the twister?
So it's like a monkey bar thing, but the handles, when you grab them, they twist. So it you grab it and it moves. And so then each time you grab, it's rotating basically. So as you're going, it's also rotating. And so that was the first time I got that. So I feel like I've made a lot of progress on a lot of the obstacles. And so I feel like I don't want to stop now because now I'm actually, where I can actually do almost all of the obstacles. And I feel like it's going to be a fun year. And they just changed it to 5-year age groups. So, now it's a smaller age group. So now, I'll be in the 40 to 44 age group. So, being on the podium is fun.
Of course it is. And,
it's fun.
And why do you think races like this, and of course there are other obstacle races that I know you have experience of as well.
Yeah.
Why do you think they have, certainly the last 3 or 4 years, the number of people taking part, people's enthusiasm for these races has just exploded?
It is pretty amazing when you go to these races and you see all these people and what they've created and how, I think they've done a great job of, especially the Spartan brand, they've done a great job of you are a Spartan, where people they become.
It's a club, isn't it?
Yeah, like they wear the clothes, they, say Aru, they are a Spartan. And so it's a pretty, cool thing. I mean, even, like some of our corporate clients who are, they work corporate jobs and and then they come race in a Spartan with us. And, to have that experience on the weekend where they're climbing through mud and barbed wire and, ropes. And then Monday morning, no one knows. No one would have any idea. Yeah. It's like their own little ulterior world, and and there was a whole, documentary about that, like how people are craving, just that kind of, it's like our worlds have become so day to day, scheduled out and, all of the technology and to have just complete chaos on the weekend is a freeing thing for a lot of people. I don't know if that's why, but
it could be. I mean, it's quite primal, isn't it? In so many respects. And here we are sitting, you and I right now, surrounded by technology, and you escape from all of that.
You're
covered
leave
in
your
mud
phone,
and water. You can't have your phone.
You have nothing. You're just you and the elements, and obviously in a race environment, you have people watching out for you, so you're safe. But it's I mean, I think that, and so Monday morning when they're at their cubicle, doing their job, they're dreaming about that weekend of climbing the rope and crawling under barbed wire. And I mean, I think there's something to that for people, is having that that movie that they're in on the weekend, and giving them something to train for. I think people are realizing that, hey, it's okay to have a goal, have something to work towards, and that it does push your fitness to a new level, to really have something in mind that you want to focus on.
I think it certainly does reflect the times that we live in. I think the popularity of these races.
It's amazing, how fast this sport is growing, and they're hoping to get it into the Olympics. It's really becoming quite a sport. And Alan, my husband, has really gotten into the programming for it, because it is an interesting, on the fitness side of it. Because you can do everything in the gym, really. Like triathlon, you had to swim in a pool, or you have to get on your bike and go ride. And but with this sport, and even any of the running races, you're just going to be running a lot, right? But with a Spartan, a lot of it is based in a gym, and a lot of the running training is interval based, so it's really a cool thing for us to be able to play with the programming of it, of how to program and, get the results that, are going to lead to podiums and lead to strong finishes. And so that's been a lot of fun, is just with a brand new sport to be able to be kind of at the head of the game of programming for it too. And there, up until there's not really anybody doing anything real scientific with the programming. And so starting to really figure out what is the scientific way to program for a Spartan race. Cause, up until now, it's just been kind of do random stuff and show up and go for it. And so that's been fun too, is to start to figure out, how can we get the best Spartan athletes?
And you mentioned Alan, your husband, has got into all the programming side of things. He was your coach.
He was my coach.
This past race that you took part in.
Yep.
How did that work out?
It was good. It was, he hadn't coached me for, when we first met, he coached me for a fitness competition. And so as I was, realizing I needed to have a goal in mind, and he had already gotten into coaching these races. And so he was already coaching one of our coaches at Results Fitness, and she had qualified for the World Championships. That was really where the bug started. We went to the World Championships to see her race, and I was like, maybe this could be my goal. And since he was already, getting into it, I asked him to coach me. And of course, for us, because we're business partners and we're husband and wife, and we're used to having different roles with each other. So, it's definitely a coach athlete, relationship. And, we treat it as that. And then, the husband and wife relationship, and then the business partner relationship. So we laugh a lot, because we're if, we're going to go out and have a splurge, or we're going to, I'll say, well, is the coach coming? Because, so we'll have
just don't tell him.
Yeah, just make sure the coach is, and he's like, oh, no, I don't think he's showing up today. I'm like, okay, we can go out to the pub, or we can, so yeah.
That's fun.
It's funny.
So you're doing another one in December?
Yeah, I'm going to go to, Castaic. And they turned December into the USA OCR Championships, which is exciting. So it's a pretty big race. I'm excited. And we're going to have a whole team. We'll have a team of people that's going to be doing that race. So it'll be a lot of fun. It's a local race for us, right in the area.
Great. Well, good luck with that.
Thank you.
You've written a few books, haven't you?
I have.
What's your latest?
So my last two books that I've written, The Female Body Breakthrough was my first book. that was my, everything, my story. When you write your first book, you put it all in there. So that has, client stories, everything that I do to coach. Obviously, it's aimed at women. And so the female body breakthrough. And then I wrote Drop 2 Sizes, which is based on a challenge that we do at the gym to help people to drop 2 sizes, but also shift their thinking from looking at the scale as their main source of feedback of if they're getting results. And so I don't have a new book in the works yet because I feel like I'm still on my journey as a 40-year-old, but I do feel like there could be a female body breakthrough in your 40s.
There's the title,
and
My
beyond.
Journey as a 40-year-old.
Yeah, I think I definitely, there's another book in me. So that's still to come.
Rachel, this has been a fascinating conversation. Thank you very much. Good luck with the next Spartan race.
Well, thank you.
In December. Always good to talk to you. For anyone listening would like maybe to find out more about the gym, obviously the gym is in Newhall in California. You need to live locally to be able to come to the gym, but you have Results University as well, which is a different aspect to your work, and that's more of a national or even global in terms of people coming to take part in that.
We do, yeah. We offer seminars and workshops for, it's mostly for personal trainers or people who are in the fitness industry who are opening gyms or coaching people who want to learn some of our programming systems or how, we run the gym. And so that's throughout the year, and that's Results Fitness University. And then I have an Instagram, so it's Rach Cosgrove on Instagram. So I'm pretty active on there, and then on Facebook as well. So
excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I'll put all those details in the show notes for this episode.
Okay.
Rachel, really good. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
And as I say, if you go to our website, lamapodcast.com, that's LLAMA podcast.com, I'll put Rachel's details. You can follow us in social media at Lama Podcast. You can rate and review us at Apple Podcasts, and you can also ask your smart speaker to play the Live Long and Master Aging podcast. It's as simple as that, and you will hear the latest episode. Many thanks for listening. Health optimization is what this podcast is all about, and that means taking care of our mitochondria, the energy centres of our cells. Physical strength, avoiding frailty is key, and that's why the science behind urolithin A and the work of Timeline Nutrition is so interesting. You can find out more and get a discount code at our website and in the show notes for this episode.